Welcome to UA Live. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Maxwell. Coming up in the show, we look at construction in UA, March Madness, and student artists.
The Upper Arlington High School Department of Student Life will be implementing changes to athletics ticketing protocols beginning with the spring 2022 season.
They will be shifting to online ticketing, which will allow our athletic staff to run events more efficiently while also providing for greater security of transactions.
Wordle has quickly risen nationally in the ranks of most popular games. You have 5 letters, 6 tries, and 1 word a day. Maren Stom gives us an overview of the game and some opinions on it.
The trending word game, Wordle, has recently become popular among people of various ages around the world. Wanting to take a look at its impact in our community, I asked Caroline Sheehan, a daily player, to give me some insight on the rules of the game.
Okay, so the objective of the game is to guess the 5-letter word in 6 guesses. When the letter turns yellow, it means it's in the word, but it's not in the right spot. And when it turns green, it's in the right spot of the word.
Josh Wardle originally created the game for his partner and posted it in October 2021, but as it grew in success, companies began becoming interested in it. In late January of 2022, New York Times bought the game to add to its collection of language-oriented games on the website. Dedicated players are concerned with this purchase because they are fearful that the New York Times could end up forcing players to buy a subscription to play the originally free game. I asked some of the students at Upper Arlington High School to give me their opinions on the game and the New York Times purchase.
It's fun. I think it's a great way to build your brain knowledge.
I think it's a good brain exercise every day when you do it.
I really like Wordle. It helps expand your vocabulary. Which I really like.
I really like Wordle. It's a fun game to play. Me and my friends play it at lunch.
It's fun. I also didn't realize how many 5-letter words there are.
I think Wordle is great. I think it's amazing. It gives me new words every day.
However, some UAHS members had complaints for Wordle.
I do not think Wordle is great because when I don't get it, I get mad, and especially when it's a word that's not in English. I'm like, why am I even guessing?
I think it's too easy.
It sucks, and it's not fun. People shouldn't be playing it.
It's a not really good game. I can't really spell, so it's just no point in me playing it.
If you are interested in joining in on the fun, look up Wordle on your preferred search engine and it should be the first link, or go to www.newyorktimes.com/games/wordle/index.html. Be sure to share your top scores with friends or family. This has been Maren Stom reporting for the WARL.
Thanks, Maren. A new word will appear every day at midnight.
With the new high school this year, many new English classes were made available to UAHS students. Freshmen now have the ability to choose classes ranging from Star Wars Edition ELA to young adult literature and the classics and many more.
Sophomores can take drama as a literature, hidden voices, sports in America, topics in American nonfiction and young adult, and the canon. Available to juniors and seniors is a wide range of 18 semester classes as well, AP Lang and Lit, which are year-long classes.
Let's now hear from Lily for some extra information on the new options and how it was established.
I'm Dr. Miller and I teach English. I've taught English here at the high school for 22 years. And over those 22 years, I've seen the program go through some changes. This is probably the most dramatic change I've seen the program go through. So the other English teachers and I, our whole department met for almost a year and a half, thinking about the idea of offering students more choice. So before we made these changes this year, you took English 9, English 10, English 11. Now you did have some leveling options. There was, you could take an honors junior or sophomore and freshman year, and then you could take AP classes your junior and senior year. But the courses were pretty standard. And we thought if student had all of the research, all of the educational literature shows that if students have more choice, they're more engaged. So we got to work thinking what kinds of courses would students like. And I think this year we are offering between 15 and 18, depending on, that's something we offered to students. And now instead of year-long, the students have to take 2 semester courses in a year. So over the course of, and these are only juniors and seniors, by the way, so junior and senior year, over those 2 years, you will take 4 semester courses. So there's a lot more choice than just junior English and senior English.
I like the variety of interests that we are able to offer students, because there should be something. I mean, there's never something for everyone, but there's something for a lot of different kinds of learners, a lot of different interests, a lot of different learning styles and personalities. So that has to be a positive thing.
And all the English teachers were able, if they wanted to, create a course. And so you have modern poetry, creative writing, Hamilton and the Founding Fathers, a Mad Men course, environment in text, and those are just 5. I personally love it. I think the students are much more engaged. The choice has really helped students buy in. So if I'm choosing sports and literature my sophomore year, I am already saying I like it. I like sports. I like talking about sports. So the kids come to class a little more engaged already. And then it's also been exciting for teachers to teach things that they've created and they're passionate about. And I think that translates to students.
I knew that I wanted to teach Hamilton after I'd listened to the soundtrack a couple times several years ago, and then listened to it a lot, so that I kind of had the whole course planned out in my head for a long time before I actually got to teach it. And so bringing that one to life after thinking about it for so many years has been a dream and a lot of fun. And I hope that students overall have a pretty positive and exciting experience in the class, because it's music and it's drama and it's got a lot of video as well as reading, and it's fun. It's a good class to teach.
My name is Papps. I'm a junior. I'm in Shaping of the Western Imagination. I don't really like the choice that I made just because I'm not really that interested in it, but I do like the choices because it gives me more options.
My name's Isaac. I'm a junior. And I'm in books and cinema, and I like having the choice of the language arts class because I'm more engaged in the class because it's something like I enjoy and that is interesting to me.
Last semester I took Beauty in a Broken World, and I really enjoyed it because the books we read were really interesting.
This has been Lily Stelzer reporting for the WARL.
Thanks, Lily. If you're interested in taking any of these classes, make sure to register or contact your counselor.
And now to Harry and Charlotte with sports.
March 28th is the softball home opener for the new field. They played Watterson and came out on top, winning 7-3.
They played them twice last year and won each time. Their record last year was 22-5, and they can't wait to see what this year brings.
The baseball team had their new home field opener Saturday, March 26th. Upper Arlington played Greater Latrobe and won with the final score of 10-9.
Wednesday, March 30th, they played Pickerington North. After 10 innings, the game was suspended due to darkness. The final score was 7-7. This Friday, April 1st, at home, they will play Canal Winchester.
Clara Hazelbaker reports on girls softball this year with the new field and more.
The Upper Arlington softball Bears are preparing for a great season on a brand new field. However, the fields weren't always this nice. I talked to Laura Moore to get some insight.
My name is Laura Moore. My maiden name's Mills, and I am a teacher at Upper Arlington, but I'm also an alumna. So I graduated from UA in 1996. And I played on the softball team from 1993 through 96. So we had probably the worst field, at least in our division of the OCC. And there were maybe 1 or 2 other fields globally, like in terms of the entire OCC, that maybe were a little worse, maybe not. But it was pretty rough. We had basically a field made of kitty litter. So we got 1 shipment of dirt, and it wasn't even really nice dirt that would be kind of dumped on the field and spread. And there were a lot of divots in the field. It wasn't even. It used to be actually a trash heap prior to them converting it into a softball field, and so the ground wasn't that great. We had a sprinkler that was raised in the outfield that we knew was a hazard that we had to avoid when we were running, and there would be all kinds of jokes just about playing at Upper Arlington's field. So I played on some travel teams with girls from other places, and they did not like playing on our field, just quite simply because of the bad hops, because our legs would get torn up when we would slide. And so just in terms of its impact on us from a safety perspective, and also just the skill it takes to field balls on a space that isn't flat, was pretty challenging. And so in addition to that, we were one of the only schools that didn't have an outfield fence, and we wanted one desperately. And so my freshman year, we started really advocating for that. We had a group of people who were able to determine the requirements for the fence, and we had to find a solution. So we were kind of on our own to figure it out. So they demanded that it be bright yellow. They wanted it to be yellow, consistent with the school colors, but also so that it was easily visible, so nobody would run into it. And so we found this yellow fabric. It also had to be easily removable. So if the football team had practice, or the band wanted to practice, or they had some other need for the field, they wanted to be able to take our fence down really quickly and not have it create a problem. And so that was another component. And then the third component was that they wanted it to be soft enough that if we ran into it, we wouldn't get hurt. And we complied with all of it, quite simply because we really wanted it to happen. So my mom ended up sewing the fence. So we ended up buying fabric, and then she sewed it, and we put our own posts in, and we basically, as a team with our parents, made the fence itself and kind of figured out the pieces of how to put it together. The maintenance of it was on us. So my mom sewed that fence so many times. I don't even know how many times she sewed it, from lawnmowers hitting it, or from people jumping the fence and knocking it over and ripping it and having to repair those pieces. But that was a point of pride for us. We tried all along throughout my 4 years to do a lot of different things. So we tried to get a batting cage. We were not allowed to get a batting cage. So we ended up not being able to have a batting cage, and really the baseball team would let us use theirs sometimes, but we had to wait until they were finished. It wasn't an issue where it was like an equally shared cage. And then on top of that, we had a situation where our scoreboard hardly ever worked. So we had, most of the lights were out most of the time, and the wires weren't always functioning. And so when we ended up having the opportunity to get a scoreboard from Pepsi, we were ecstatic. And so we thought, for sure, now we're going to have a scoreboard. We're going to look just as official as many of the other schools where we played. And then the decision came down that they weren't going to install this scoreboard because it faced the street, and they had concerns. The zoning committee of Upper Arlington had concerns that the scoreboard would be visual pollution. So they ended up bringing it to a hearing. We heard about it, and I went to the meeting to speak. And so I wrote my words, I collected my words, and fortunately all the other captains came with me. So I didn't go alone. And we were the only team that was being denied the opportunity to have a scoreboard. And so they came in solidarity to kind of support putting it up for the softball team. The scoreboard for the stadium also faced the street, but they said because it was for the stadium, they were willing to overlook it. But the softball field, they were not willing to extend that same leniency for. And so I got up, I presented my case, and at the end of it, they asked a lot of questions, and the vote was really close. And at the end of it, I could tell that there were people leaning back. They were really not interested in even considering the opinion. The vote passed 3-2. So it barely went by, and one of the votes was actually one of my former teammates' father. So I'm not sure that any of that would have passed had it not been for him. And even though they passed it, they wouldn't put the scoreboard up while I was in high school. So I never got to play with it. And I ended up coming back years later to coach. And I remember walking onto the field 2007, 2008 as a coach, and looking up at that scoreboard, and the amount of pride I felt standing on a field that had a real fence around it, that had a batting cage, that had this scoreboard, that had brick dust. That had actual dugouts. Like, looking back over time, we had some of the best teams in the history of the program. We made it to districts all 4 of my years in high school, regionals 2 of the years. So for us to have a field that was that bad was just so embarrassing and demoralizing. And so every little thing meant so much.
The Bears are anxiously awaiting for the new field to be open as they continue to practice inside. I talked to Captain Paige Parker to find out what she was looking forward to.
Okay, so our new field is turf, and I'm really excited because as a first baseman on turf, the bounces are super predictable and like easy to catch. So that's what I'm excited for.
I also talked to varsity head coach Terry Strang to hear his thoughts on the new field.
Well, we've waited a long time for this field. It's been 3 years. We've been displaced over at Tremont, but it was well worth the wait. We've got a full AstroTurf infield with a warning track. We've got a clubhouse, a dugout with plenty of seating, and far enough away from the batter so it's relatively safe. Again, a field that's second to none. Most collegiate fields aren't as nice as what we have. What it will allow us to do is play immediately after weather and even during weather without having to worry about mud and slush and slipping and sliding. It's just actually just a tremendous field. It's a testament to a fine school system and a fine softball program.
I then asked Laura Moore how she felt about the brand new softball field.
When I looked at the plans for the new softball field, shortly after we went on a tour with the Student Innovation team at the high school, I cried. I cried because the plans of the softball field next to the baseball field, it was so striking to see how much was considered to make sure that girls today had fields that were worthy of their ability, and to know that at every bend we were given reasons why we couldn't upgrade various elements. To know that that was our reality, and then to see the reality today that there were a whole host of people advocating for these opportunities for girls is just such an emotionally powerful moment, and I feel so thankful to be teaching here to see it and to be able to go on that field and to be able to take a little bit of joy in the fact that we've come a long way.
This has been Clara Hazelbaker reporting for the WARL.
The boys volleyball program swept the Reynoldsburg Raiders with a win from all three teams. Varsity took the game in 3 sets on Saturday, March 26th, to start their season off right. With new talent, the boys hope to improve their record this season. The Bears take on Bishop Watterson at home on Saturday, April 2nd.
Now let's take a look at one of our softball players this year.
Marley Jupp, a junior at Upper Arlington High School, has participated in many activities from a young age.
I played multiple sports like basketball, softball, golf.
She tore her left ACL in 2018 and her right ACL in 2020. She had to have surgery on both knees.
I had my surgery. My activities changed, but after that I was basically back to normal.
The first time she tore her ACL was during a basketball game.
The first time I was running, and I planted and I went into a different direction, and then it tore. Like hard just like not doing things and like not being able to like do the stuff that I wanted to do, I guess.
Both times Marley went through an elaborate healing process to retain mobility.
So the first month was basically just getting me back to like walking. The second and third was like doing more like walking up the stairs and doing more mobile stuff. And then the 4th to 6th month is like more like sports-centered activities, I guess.
Having tore both her ACLs, she reflects on the differences between the two.
My first one was a lot worse because I kept playing on it. And my second one was a lot easier to come back to, but like knowing what I was going through during the second ACL, my recovery was like a lot different. Just like because I knew what was like about to happen, I like was thinking through everything through my past ACL. I just like knew what I was like doing, so I guess I like knew what to expect, which made me like almost like micromanage it, I guess, differently. So
Marley's family and friends were very sympathetic to her situation.
People came and like brought me presents or whatever, and then like my friends and family were there for me.
When Marley tore her ACL for the first time, our basketball team got a bunch of gifts together and made her a bunch of cards, and we drove to her house and surprised her and gave them all to her. The second time Marley tore her ACL, we all met at Leah's house and then drove to Marley's house and surprised her again with gifts and cards to hopefully cheer her up. The second time when I saw it happen, I was really hoping she didn't tear her ACL again, and hoping she was going to be able to play this season because we were all really bummed that she missed out on the last one.
It was definitely different. Like there are still things that like I can't do today, like being on my knees or like the surface level, I guess, stuff. But other than that, it's mostly the same. But like I'm more, like I guess I'm more cautious of like how I like, you know, move my body and like just like functional stuff like that, I guess.
Thanks, Alexa. It's great getting to know our student athletes.
The boys tennis team hit off their season on Tuesday, March 29th versus Wellington and had a fantastic 3-2 win. They had another match Wednesday, March 30th versus Bexley and won again 3-2.
Both of these matches were their first time playing on the new home court since the construction began, and it was a great way to start off their season.
As the boys lacrosse season begins, the team had a great first win 16-5 against Thomas Worthington on March 24th. During the first half, the starting players dominated the field to start the big lead.
Later on in the second half, coaches put in some of the freshmen to give some varsity playing experience. On Wednesday, March 30th, they played a rival team, St. Charles, at home.
They ended up winning 16-3. The team now heads to Louisville, Kentucky on Saturday, April 2nd to play Montgomery Bell at Starling Stadium to continue their season.
Toss it to Marin and Jake with community news.
The Upper Arlington Commission for Aging is launching a program to connect senior citizens with resources and social groups. Many senior citizens in UA want to remain at their homes even as they age.
The commission will be in close contact with the members of the village, assisting their needs. An informational meeting was hosted at the Upper Arlington Public Library on March 29th.
Federal transportation officials are weeks away from launching the largest expansion in Amtrak's history.
In 2021, Amtrak released a dramatic 15-year expansion plan for increased passenger rail service throughout the U.S. The service would connect Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Dayton.
Recently, Charlotte Ranke visited Columbus Museum of Art. Let's take a look at some of the new exhibits.
Being just 15 minutes from Upper Arlington, the Columbus Museum of Art is a cultural institute of Columbus. With exhibits ranging from comic magazines to Women Behind the Lens, there is something for everyone here. Hours range from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays through Sundays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Admission is $5 to $14 depending on age and always free on Sundays. There's a cafe and store in the front of the museum with books, gifts, and jewelry available. I visited the museum recently and asked some students their opinion on it.
I think it's really fun to see all the different artworks and have a museum to be able to walk around and see everything in Columbus so close to us.
It's also just very interactive for, all ages, especially kids. And it's just interesting to see the different art styles.
My favorite piece in the Columbus Museum of Art, this is one of a couple. It's this Monet painting behind me. I really enjoy the colors and the brushwork.
It would have to be this really cool glass sculpture that I really like the different colors and the intricate designs, and I also enjoy just looking at it.
My favorite part of the Columbus Museum of Art, I think, is probably, I like the whole museum, but I definitely really like this area. I think it's nice to look up through the glass. I know there's a lot of weddings here, and I think the stonework is really, really amazing. I think it's a very underrated part of the museum.
This has been Charlotte Ranke reporting for the WARL.
Oh no. Thanks, Charlotte. Be sure
Being
to check
15 minutes from Upper
out the
Arlington,
museum soon.
The vision of the UA Community Center is coming into focus. Floor plans and initial renderings of the space were shared with the community on February 17th, and the project team is spending the next several weeks gathering feedback on the plans.
Several sessions are planned where the community will be able to review the plans with members of the project team.
Book banning has become a controversial topic within our nation. Kirsten Sauer gives us some insight on how it is affecting our library and teachers at UAHS.
Book banning is an issue in schools throughout the country. Many books are challenged, which means there is an attempt to remove the material upon the request of a person. Mrs. Deal gives us insight.
There's a difference between book challenges and book banning. Basically, the idea is that somebody doesn't want somebody else to read a book. Very few actually get removed from the shelves, but the number of challenges is up about 20% from, say, 2019. Luckily, this is my 7th year here, and I haven't had any book challenges. I haven't even had anybody ask to remove anything off the shelf. So we're very fortunate here that this community allows for diverse and a variety of materials in the school library.
I asked Mrs. Orloff about her experience with book challenging in the classroom.
I think when you ban a book, let's say banning a book about the Holocaust, because in this book there might be some graphic images or disturbing ideas, I think you're hiding history. You're denying a whole group of students lessons from history. Normally, I haven't shied away from books that have been banned. I have taught books like, for instance, The Hate U Give, that's widely banned in many schools. So I really haven't shied away, but I feel I have the support of the administration, my colleagues. We celebrate Banned Book Week in this school here at Upper Arlington. Our librarian, Mrs. Deal, puts those books out as displays. But I have had conversations with concerned parents or community members about titles that I've taught in class, and I think that all has to do with trust. So hopefully people in the community, parents, trust me to handle any book professionally and with empathy. And hopefully they know that I choose these books with the best interests of my students in mind.
This has been Kirsten Sauer reporting for the WARL.
Thanks, Kirsten. Use your favorite news stations to find out more information and keep up to date with the latest news on book banning.
Now to Lily Stelzer with Lifestyle.
I'm here with junior singer and songwriter Eric Nowak. Today we are going to discuss his journey in the music industry and his hopes for the future. Eric, how did you get started into music?
I first started when I guess like the earliest memory I have is like when I was a little kid, I couldn't fall asleep. So like my mom would put like a little CD player in my room and play music till I fell asleep. So that was kind of like the earliest like music like memory I guess I have. But then I really started in 4th grade when I picked up the guitar, and then really got into it 5th grade, I guess.
How long have you been writing songs?
7 years now, I guess.
What was your first single?
My first single was called So Caught Up, and I started writing that I think summer of 2019, and then I finished it summer of 2020.
What was the process for you when producing music?
I guess it was just like I'd come up with like a melody or an idea, and I'd write that out, and then I'd come back to it over the weeks and just kind of build on it, and then I guess it just kind of...
Is this a hobby, or do you hope to make it a career?
For right now, I guess it's a hobby just because I have school, but then I definitely want to do more with music. I definitely want to like perform and stuff and play shows, but I also want to, learn how to like edit and I guess like produce my own stuff.
What genre of music do you create?
I'm not really sure. I can't really like... I'm not actually sure what exactly it is, but I guess I'll just let the people decide.
Are you involved in any music classes at the high school?
Not right now. I just take lessons outside of school.
And what plans do you have for the future?
I guess just to continue music and continue learning and writing music.
Well, thank you so much, Eric, and good luck with the rest of your music career. Now back to Natalie and Maxwell on Maine.
Thanks, Lily. You can listen to Eric's songs under the name Daniel Lamendez on all music platforms.
Next show, we will take a look at student plans for prom and wrestling states.
That's it for this edition of UA Alive. Thanks for tuning in.